And the reason I know this is I've been involved in legal cases where the parents were being deposed and they were complaining that they used restraint and harmed their child in some manner. And the attorney said, but didn't you give informed consent for this facility to use restraint? And they said, we did. But we felt that if we didn't, no one else would take our child.
All right, guys, welcome back to Beyond the Science. We are live here at the FABA Conference, FABA 2025. Now, guys, FABA is celebrating 45 years of FABA. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Now, Joe's back with us, and then we have Wes as our guest host, killing it. Wes has been doing a phenomenal job. And we're here right after Dr. Merrill Winston's presentation. A legend in the field with over 35 plus years of consulting and presenting. Let's welcome to the show, guys.
Wow.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes. How's FABA treating you so far?
Pretty good. It's a good conference. I enjoy it. The location's nice, good hotel, and they seem to be running pretty smoothly.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger conferences. I mean, we were walking out yesterday, Wes, and it was like rush hour. Like we were literally inching along here, trying to make our way to the next room.
Jam-packed.
I think they don't let us in certain hotels now because we make too much noise at the bar. Yeah, they actually got complaints about that at the last place. Like,
wow. That's funny.
Yes.
Too much noise at the bar.
And I ran to Merrill just yesterday. We were just having a good conversation. I said, hey, you have to make some time to jump on a podcast, and he was willing to. So thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Wes.
Yeah. So today your talk was discussing physical prompting versus restraint.
Yeah.
I guess from your perspective, why is that distinction so important?
Good question. And it was. The title was like physical prompting. What is it and when does it become something more? And the reason I brought it up was that at its heart, what restraint is, it is like limiting someone's movement, but it is without their cooperation.
Correct.
And so, physical prompting is used a lot in our field, especially with younger learners, especially with people with limited language, because we can't simply verbally instruct them many times. And when you have an uncooperative learner, what was kind of a gentle physical prompt that may only have required a couple of ounces of pressure is now like pounds of pressure. And so I've seen situations where like they're trying to get the kid to write and they're like grabbing his fist and the kid's trying to pull his fist back. And you see his like hand visibly shaking because he's trying to pull so hard. And they're like, no, we're writing. And I'm like, you're basically restraining his hand because he wants to put it in his lap and you're not letting him. And so now you're kind of turning teaching into this thing where we're going to struggle.
Correct.
Now, and the problem with it is there's no real harm to the child, but no one recognizes it as a restraint. But it kind of is. But just because the child's not crying and things aren't being broken and it doesn't look like a crisis, no one really recognizes it as that. But the fact of the matter is, kid can't move where he wants to move at that moment, right? And there are times that we have to do this, like car seats, right? Like parents have to do this all the time. But the kind of issue is that if what you're doing is really just a physical prompt and the child wants to do the activity but doesn't know what to do, well, then why are you using pounds of pressure? And the example that I give is like if you take a small child by the hand and you're walking and the child is keeping up with you and they want to go where you're going, then it's not restraint. You're just hand holding. It's just a physical prompt. Keep up with me, son. Right? That's all it is. If you're leaving the park and the kid doesn't want to go and you need to go and the kid starts bending his knees and lowering himself and pulling back, now it's become a restraint because he's trying to go one way and you're not letting him.
That's interesting.
But it's not a problem because it's mom. And so no one sees anything wrong.
So from an analyst perspective, right? So as a practitioner, when we're in those moments, right, how would you describe or come up with the criteria to topographically, right, define when we get to those moments? How do we recognize that when it's turning from one thing to another?
Yeah, I'd say the easiest thing for staff is the difference between ounces of pressure and pounds of pressure, because you can't restrain somebody with ounces of pressure. It's not going to happen. Like 3 ounces. It's just not going to happen. They're just going to pull away from you. So like if a small child is trying to run into the street Nobody holds him with a thumb and a forefinger. Okay, you grab his ass, okay, and you grab it like really hard and really fast and really tight. Well, why? If he gets away, he runs into the road and he gets hit. It's too dangerous, right? So that would be like kind of like a full, kind of restraint. But I think most people, what happens is children are being restrained all day long for brief periods. But because it's not a procedure from a crisis management system, okay, it doesn't get recorded as such. But it could be happening all day long. And so the other example, if you're trying to explain to somebody where you start blurring the line between a physical prompt and a restraint, is a very simple test. And you can demonstrate it with anybody who's sitting. And you can say, I want you to start to stand up, and then I'm going to give you a physical prompt to sit down. And a physical prompt to sit down is this. It's a tap on the shoulder in a downward direction. And it's telling you which way to go with your body, right? That's a physical prompt, sit down. Taking both hands and putting it on the kid's shoulders and pressing down with 20 pounds of force, that's called a chair restraint. But what some people will do in an educational setting is they'll get behind the kid and hold them in the chair so that they'll stay at the task. And I'm like, look, the kid's not getting traumatized. There's no great harm coming. But I want people to be honest. You're restraining him so that you can teach him. There's a problem. And the problem is you got yourself some misaligned motivations. And that's really what the talk is about at its heart. And the point I like to make is like, any of you guys got kids?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's, it's funnier when you ask that to women and then you add that you know of, because it's one thing for a man, but if you say it to a woman, it's kind of like funny. Like, hey, have any kids that you know of? That's like, that like works with dudes, doesn't work with women, but you get a good laugh, so that's okay. But yeah, like if you have kids, you realize this very, very quickly. You spend a lot of your day like controlling them, stopping them, physically stopping them, especially very young kids, because they won't listen. And then older kids, they know to listen, but choose not to.
Correct.
And then teenagers, they do not listen at all. So that, so, but yeah, I'm trying to explain as we're kind of going through this that like a lot of what parents do with their child, most of the time, the motivations are misaligned. Your child doesn't want to get up. Your child doesn't want to put their clothes on. Your child doesn't want to eat their broccoli. But you want them to do all of those things. Misaligned motivations.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. So, and war, political, anything, what's happening in the country now, misaligned motivations. Everybody's not in the same direction. Now, we are aligned when it comes to big things. So like laws against murder. Nobody's like, no, I think we should be able to murder whoever we want. Like you don't hear anybody say that, right? We're kind of all together on that. We all like not being murdered, but when you get below that, like with other kinds of things, misaligned motivations.
That's interesting.
And it causes, and it fuels hate and anger and violence and war. And what is it? It's misaligned motivations. If everybody's motivations are aligned, then it's communism. No, I'm kidding. But, well, that's what some people would say about communism. Everything is for the glory of the party, and we don't have God. Like in Russia. It's state. It's the state, right? Yeah. But that is supposed to be, everybody's supposed to be aligned. Everybody's motivation is supposed to be aligned. That makes sense. We are all here for the glory of the state, right? Like the Borg, like from Star Trek, we're all one mind and we are aligned. But that's not what happens in our society. We have misaligned motivations everywhere, right? And this is misaligned motivation in the classroom, right? I want you to learn to write your name. The kid's nonverbal. And the kid's like, I don't know what I'm doing and what you're making me to do. And this all sucks. Right. And so their motivations are highly misaligned. Then you got misaligned motivations between the parent and the school. School's got one set of motivations.
That's true.
Parents got another set of motivations. Kids got a third set of motivations. Paraprofessionals got another set of motivations. Teachers got another set of motivations. And then you got to try and like level all these out.
All that together.
Yeah. And so I think that as behavior analysts, I think part of what we can try to do is, first of all, find out what everybody's motivations are, because you guys may have worked with parents before, and I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying they're people like we are, and sometimes we hide our true motivations. And because we are vulnerable sometimes, if we let someone know, this is really why I want to do this, and we're afraid we will be judged or something like that. So a lot of times, you don't find out people's true motivations until it's too late and there's a lawsuit.
It's true.
You know, because that's when everything comes out.
Yeah.
Right. But like parents who give informed consent, that was one of the things I talked about today, that informed consent, assent from a child and informed consent from a parent, those are all legal issues. Those are legal terms, right? And we're not in this for legal issues, even though we have to deal with them. We're here to work with people. And so what I propose to individuals is that the idea of consent doesn't make as much sense for us and what we do with individuals on a day-to-day basis, but the concept of cooperation, that's invaluable.
Yeah.
And we always want cooperation. And the point that I made is just because you get informed consent from a parent to use restraint, that does not mean you have their cooperation. Yeah. That is a legal contrivance, okay? And that's so that we can cover our butts, right? But it doesn't mean I'm okay with it in my heart, right? And the reason I know this is I've been involved in legal cases where the parents were being deposed and they were complaining that they used restraint and harmed their child in some manner. And the attorney said, but didn't you give informed consent for this facility to use restraint? And they said, we did. But we felt that if we didn't, no one else would take our child. And so I would say that they gave consent under duress. So like I was pressured. I only did it because I felt I had to. I didn't do it because I thought it was a good idea to do with my child. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's a great position to be in.
Yeah. It's a tough position for the parents. It's and that's why my heart kind of goes out to them for that, because they know their kid has problems. Their kid may have attacked them, but they are conflicted, like any parent would be who loved their kid. I know my kid can do this. I know my kid, needs this maybe, but I don't want to see my child suffer. And I'm afraid that when they're restraining my child will suffer, right? And the fact of the matter is their child will suffer. Most people are not happy when they're being restrained. There are a few kids that are laughing at you while you're doing it because you're all sweaty and you look nasty and they're telling you how they're going to sue you and get you in trouble. But those kids are the exception. Most of them are pretty unhappy while it's going on because nobody wants to lose their freedom of movement, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I think parents are conflicted. They know this may be necessary, but it makes them very, very uncomfortable. And I don't think they ever fully communicate this, or maybe the schools fully appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that they don't tend to have honest discussions. They tend to say, just sign on the dotted line and let's get going. But because honest discussions can become a little bit painful.
A lot of the time it become painful when everybody's honest.
Well, yeah, if you're too honest, it's war. Okay, you cannot be like full on honest, but just go a little bit at a time. Just like open the honesty door just a crack and see how it goes. Yeah. But yeah, I think that a lot of our problems come from these misunderstandings, like why are we doing it? Why are we doing the restraint? The concepts I like to talk about are malice and incompetence. And this usually makes a difference as to whether people get sued by the parent or the parent loves them. And if what it comes down to, and this cuts across like all the legal cases I've ever served as an expert for in restraint, is that if the parent feels that the organization, the school, the clinic doesn't like their kid, and by the way, sometimes they don't like the kids and they want them gone. And so the parents are not wrong for feeling that way sometimes, I think. If they think, even if the school does like the child very much and cares about the child, if they think you don't like the child, that introduces malice. So you are using the restraint to get back at my child because you don't like my child. That comes out in court all the time, right? The other one is y'all don't know what you're doing. Because if you knew what you were doing, you would not be restraining my child, right? And the thing is, there is truth to that too, because like if you just get a kid the first time and you have to restrain them, that doesn't mean you suck. That means you got a new child you know nothing about. Now, if you're still restraining them a year later, you could suck. Okay, that is a distinct possibility, or you have a very difficult case. But the point being that when you're first working with somebody, if you had to use it a little bit in the beginning to gain control, to protect the child, and as you implement your behavior plan, if everything goes as it should, you should not see a lot of restraints because you should not see a lot of behavior problems. Which is why I tell people that restraint reduction is a terrible, terrible goal. People do it a lot. They have goals for restraint reduction. I say, that is an awful goal. The proper goal is behavior reduction, okay? And helping the child, giving them skills, improving the quality of their life, and giving them proper replacement behaviors. And when you've done all that, you don't have to have a goal for restraint be reduced. It goes away on its own.
Yeah.
And see, that's the beauty of it, is that a focus on restraint reduction takes the focus off behavior change.
Absolutely.
And the only reason why we're using the restraint to begin with is because we have behavior problems, not because the child has a potty mouth. Now, and a lot of kids do, and I've never seen and I still go in schools once in a while. I've never seen a kid just cursing and they restrain him because of that. I've just never seen that.
Wow.
But
I mean, you talk about so much passion about this specific topic, and I love it. I could sit here and listen all day. To be honest with you, but just over the years of experience, of in the field and getting to this point, talk more about your milestones or your pathway to get you to, where you're at right now, to be able to have to, I guess, to where you have that passion to talk about the difference between the restraints and
the physical prompting.
And the physical prompting, because it's something it's not new.
No,
right?
It's not new at all. No, this is a very old problem.
But if this is something that's, still happening, right? Kind of walk us through that path of how you got to this point to where it's we still need to get into this. We still need to talk about it. And this is something that we're still learning from and being able to improve on.
Really good question. The way I got into it is when I first started after graduate school, I worked at a developmental services institution in Florida that was, interestingly enough, what got started the CBA certification. It was formerly Sunland Miami. And Sunland Miami started this whole thing. We're all here today because of Sunland Miami, because of some nasty things they did with adults with disabilities. And somebody said, people got to be certified to do this, because they were putting people basically in the equivalent of hot boxes for masturbating.
Oh, wow.
Yes. This was in the 70s. And when I worked there, it was called Landmark Learning Center, but it was Sunland Miami. And they still have, I think Toccocelli, Sunland Gainesville is still open, but most of the institutions closed. Landmark closed. They used it for other things, and the clients went into the community. But at that institution, we had all kinds of behavior problems. And they had either very poor or no restraint at all. Staff were getting injured. Clients were getting injured. Homes were getting destroyed. And we started using professional crisis management about a year after I got there. Okay. And I was one of the trainers. I was on the crisis team. I led the crisis team. So because I wanted to make sure it was being done properly. And so when a client would become extremely dangerous, they'd page us and we'd all run out to one of the homes. And we were the ones who intervened, not the staff. Because we were very well trained. I was an instructor and I chose my team. Right. And so I had a lot of experience doing that and seeing how it could go well. Right. Because we had very competent people that cared about the clients. And sometimes the cops would show up because somebody called the cops. And we ended up controlling a dude by ourselves. It took the cops 2 sets of handcuffs to link his arms together because he was so big. Wow. Right. We had him held with 8 people. Right. But he was safe. And I'm going to tell you, if law enforcement had tried to control him, they probably would have killed him because he was big and scary looking and quite strong. He was really a teddy bear. But if you didn't know him, you'd be worried. This is like a mountain of a man, right? And so I realized we're doing right now what other people will not do or cannot do. The parents can't do it. And you know what? Law enforcement can't do it. Here's one of the reasons why. People don't kind of get this. When we go in to intervene with a client, we're not wearing a sidearm. And law enforcement is very, very, I've had cops in my crisis management class, and we discussed this. They are very worried about getting anybody near their sidearm. And so because of that, they are way more jumpy and touchy and very quick to do not so good things. And, I think that one of the things that enters into that is the fact that they are bringing death on their hip and they know it can be used against them. And it has been. They know it can happen, right? So that I think that makes it far worse, and it's much easier for us to intervene. I'm not worried about getting killed when I work with someone with special needs, right? But some law enforcement are. Yeah. And that's another reason why we're really the best group who's suited to do this. It really can't be law enforcement. They need such special training. And I know some school police that would do it, but they would put their gun in a lockbox, and I guess they had permission from their supervisor to do that. And they knew the kid. They'd put their weapon in a lockbox, and then they'd go out to the classroom because they knew if they had to tussle with the kid in any manner, everybody's safe. Nobody's getting a firearm.
Guys, you listen to Beyond the Science. We're live here at the FABA Conference. Shout out to our audience, man. Listening to this. Will be a CEU in itself. We offering CEUs for this?
We should.
What we doing, man?
We should. Yeah. And if they, what I always offer is they believe what I say, I'd double the CEU.
Now, I gotta ask you this: if you weren't in ABA, I gotta get outside the ABA because I know you do a lot of stuff outside the ABA. Tell me what career path you would have chosen.
I probably would have gone into music because I'm an amateur musician. I play guitar, keyboards, I write songs, I do vocals. I have a recording set up in my home. And so I just like to do that as a hobby. I haven't done a lot lately, but I've done that my whole life.
Yeah.
But it's not going to put money on the table, I don't think. So that's right. That's kind of like,
you got some YouTubes out there.
That's right.
You shared one with me yesterday.
That's right.
It's kind of talented.
But I like that. But that got me into a lot of the restraint stuff. And then what else got me into the issues in restraint is I started doing expert witnessing about 25 years ago about restraint cases. So all these issues were coming into the cases, right? Repeatedly. So I started seeing repeated misunderstandings, repeated issues with restraint, like y'all are using it as punishment. And this comes up over and over and over. And the reason you're using it as punishment is because y'all don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And that's it's kind of a tired accusation. Yeah. But it's still happening today. Yeah. The same things. So those are some of the things that led me there. Like I did it a lot. And then I worked for PCMA after the institution. That was about 9 years at the institution. Okay. And then they released me to the community because I guess I was behaved well. And I went and worked for PCMA in the private sector. So then I did that for about 20 years. So I did crisis management training all over the world. I would get to interact with behavior analysts all over the country, in Canada, Guam, Ireland. We went all over the place doing this. So I had a lot of interactions with other behavior analysts and other professionals who also had to restrain people. Yeah. And they would always bring me their issues. So I got sensitized to a lot of that stuff and the problems they had, like not being able to protect people because somebody said restraint is bad, restraint is evil, restraint causes trauma. Everybody knows this. Nobody should touch a child. And it's like this comes with no scientific basis whatsoever, all those accusations. And not that somebody could not have an adverse experience during restraint. Of course they could. People have died during restraints. I know that better than anybody. But in most instances, there are no tremendous injuries. In most instances, there are not even bruising, right? And most of the frequent injuries are scrapes and bruises, and that's pretty good for someone who's trying to hurt you and you are desperately trying not to hurt them. That's a very tall order. Law enforcement doesn't do it. Yeah. Right? We do that.
I really appreciate how you talk about law enforcement because one of my pain points, not my pain points, but probably one of my saddest days in the field was in May when my 18-year-old was arrested for hitting his mother. And he was put in handcuffs and he doesn't know what that is or what that was. So he was trying to get out of them and they put him handcuffs here on his hands and on his legs just to restrain him. So, I've asked to speak to, because we actually I had to go and get the assault charges dropped. Right. So I had to speak to someone to say, hey, he's diagnosed with autism. This is the behavior plan. This is what, because I didn't know he had a history of hitting his mother until that moment. And that's why I appreciate the work that you're doing, because police officers, when they come into these homes, they are just trying to defuse and go to the next situation. And they don't have an understanding. No. They don't know. So restraint is, it's very serious. And it could be just, I'm having a little moment here because that kid, he still has the bruises. Oh. So it's
It's hard. And the thing is,
hard.
and it's not that we're demonizing the police officers. This is not, I've talked to a lot of cops about this. They do not want to do it.
Correct.
They do not want to get called out to deal with a person with special needs. They don't have the training for it. It feels uncomfortable to them. Mm-hmm. They are there in their minds, in many instances, to go get bad guys.
Correct.
And they do not see people with special needs. Just to let you know, at one place at a group home, they called the cops because a client had a behavior problem because he wanted a hamburger. The cop went and got him a hamburger. And although we know from a behavior analytic perspective, that is not a good idea, that was pretty cool of officer friendly. But there's a very wide range of what cops are. And that's what I tell people. That's what I tell parents, by the way. I know you don't like restraint, and I don't say this to scare you, but I just say it to be real with you. When law enforcement shows up, it is their show, and you do not know how the show is going to go. Okay, that is the truth, and that's just the real world. And that's why I think it's dicey when you call law enforcement. They're not comfortable with it, and depending on their own policies, the law officer's own experience, and also their perceived threat of the client.
Correct.
Because if they perceive no threat, they relax. If they perceive threat, I'm very concerned.
This client's 6'2".
Right? And again, I'm not blaming them for perceiving threat, training. But it is what it is. If they perceive threat, because we try to tell them that. I know he looks scary. He's okay. You can't convince them very often, you know, and it's hard to like blame them. No, you just showed up here. You should trust me. It's a dicey, that's what I'm saying. A lot of times, the best things I've seen happen is when the police come up so much, they know what's going on and they just kind of hang back, right? And a lot of times that's the best thing that they could do, really, just in case things go really south. Because most of the time, the staff can diffuse things. They just may need somebody there just in case. But yeah, it is a difficult thing when they show up. And like I say, well, I don't want like the clients that we work with, I don't want them really subjected to that because it's just not in their best interest. I mean, we all know this. Right. And there's better ways to do these things. And that's why I say I would much rather see a child restrained by someone who knows them, likes them, and, you know, the child generally trusts, even though they're having a difficult moment. Just like parents restrain their own kids. And it doesn't tear down the relationship. It's not a parent beating their child. It's a parent restraining their child. And it's not like the child doesn't love them anymore because of it. And so my question is, what makes you think we can't do the same thing? I've restrained kids that still have a relationship with me and still like me after I've done it. And why can't that be true of other people as well? And the idea is that I'm restraining you. It is not an act of violence. I'm not angry at you. I'm not yelling at you. I'm holding you only as much as I need to stop you. And as soon as you stop, I stop. And I go right back to being your buddy again. And I don't hold it against you. And as long as we do that with individuals, I don't really see the problem. Because in that capacity, you're acting more like the parent. The parent disciplines you. They don't hate you afterwards. I mean, we all have anger towards our loved ones in moments, right? But because they are loved, we recover, right? As long as it's mostly love and a little bit of anger here and there, because everybody gets on everybody's nerves eventually. If it's a good baseline, a good relationship, everybody survives that. That's just a normal thing, you know? But I think that the other thing is if we train parents to be able to do it, they better understand why we're doing it and they understand how we feel. Because I don't know about everybody else who's restrained somebody. I don't like doing it.
No.
I'd rather not. So yeah, that's how I got there.
Man, I'm enjoying this conversation right here, man. I feel like we need 30 more minutes from here. But nah, this has been good.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I have some final questions for you here as we wrap up. What are some piece of advice for some, you know, maybe young professionals who are just kind of getting into this space and learning more about kind of what your talk is? What's some advice, and then what's one key takeaway from your presentation that you want people to know?
I'd say that, you know, the advice would be to, you know the individual really well that you're working with and what their motivations are when it comes to physical prompting becoming a little bit excessive, and keep an eye on everybody's motivations. And what I'd like to say is when I talk about misaligned motivations, you can balance either side of the equation or both at the same time. And all that means is if I'm insisting that a child learn to sign his name, write his name when the child is nonverbal, I think that's an unreasonable goal, and it's going nowhere because the child can't talk. if we adjust the goal and make it for something else, we are lowering our motivation for the child to do something he doesn't want. And then if we increase the child's motivation, we end up meeting in the middle somewhere. Like their motivation is way down here, ours is way up here. You need to do this. And we say, okay, maybe you only need to do part of this. And then we give some extra boost to the kid to motivate them. And now we're aligned again, right? And so sometimes if the adults unpucker, right, they can bring down their side of the equation. And then all we got to do is bring up the child's side, right? And now everybody is on the same page. And the nice thing about it is we could be motivated to do, we could be going in the same direction, but for different reasons. So I want you to learn math because that's my job as a teacher. You want to learn math so you can get computer time. I don't care. We both want math done. And that's really all that matters when you're learning math. Like eventually, maybe they get good at it and they love math. Great. But right now, they just want iPad. That's okay too. You both are happy about doing math. And that's the main thing, right? So that's what I think I did.
Wow. It's beautiful.
I love that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, Aaron, thanks for joining us. What people who want to learn more about your work and what you're doing, what can they find you?
They can go to winstonbehavioralsolutions.com. It's all one long word. So if you're not a good speller, you'll never get there. You'll end up on some weird website somewhere.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.